Hi, the doctor's in. I'm Dr. LB, and I'm here to help you through your math difficulties. Today, we look at the binomial coefficient. The binomial coefficient, or the binomial theorem, I should say, is a way for us to expand binomials without having to use FOIL and the distributive property over and over and over again. So something like a plus b to the 0 power is defined to be, or it is 1. A plus b to the first power is just a plus b. A plus b squared, in order to find that, we need to put them side by side and use FOIL and collect the inner and outer terms. But when you get to a plus 3 cubed, and to the fourth, and to the fifth, and so on, it can be very lengthy to find that binomial expansion. So in this lecture, we're going to talk about how to get the coefficients on these binomials, and then in the next lecture we're going to talk about how to actually expand. So the binomial coefficient, and the coefficients, for instance, in this a plus b squared is 1, 2, 1. In this a plus b cubed is 1, 3, 3, 1. So where do these numbers come from? Well, they come from looking at this n combining r. This n combining r. That is a button on your calculator, and we're going to talk about what the actual meaning of that is. So 0 combining 0 will give us this coefficient of 1. 1 combining 0 will give us this coefficient of 1. 1 combining 1 will give us that coefficient of 1. And for this a plus b quantity squared, you have 2 combining 0, 2 combining 1, 2 combining 2. That gives us these coefficients 1, 2, 1. Now, this mirrors Pascal's triangle. If you look, this is called the 0 row. Then the first row, the second row, the third row, the fourth row, the fifth row. This Pascal's triangle mirrors this n combining r. So let's look at what this binomial coefficient n combining r is. This is the notation for n combining r. It is also called n above r. If you're looking at a scientific calculator, you may see either notation on that calculator. It means the exact same thing. You need to look to see how your calculator wants you to put it in. But if you don't have that button on your calculator, there is a formula. It is n factorial divided by r factorial times n minus r factorial. Now, what is this factorial? You should see n factorial on your calculator. That means it's going to be n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 all the way down to 3 times 2 times 1. So something like 6 factorial would be 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and that equals 720. One thing we also need to note that 0 factorial is defined to be 1. 0 factorial is defined to be 1. So let's look at a few examples. We want to evaluate these binomial coefficients. The first one is 7 combining 2, or 7 above 2. So you can learn how to put that in your calculator, or if you want to use the formula, we're going to use the formula here. It's going to be 7 factorial divided by r factorial. And then we're going to do n minus r. So 2 minus 7 minus 2 is 5 factorial. Now, if you don't have a calculator, it's okay. There's a shortcut way that you can check this out. 7 factorial is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 all over 2 factorial is 2 times 1 times 5 factorial. Well, 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So you can cancel that out with 5 factorial. So you have 42 divided by 2, which is 21. So you can see there is an advantage to knowing how to work these buttons on your calculator. Let's look at another one. 11 combining 1. We have 11 factorial over 1 factorial. 11 minus 1 is 10, so that's 10 factorial. So 11 factorial can be written as 11 times 10 factorial. That's kind of what we did here, but we didn't write it as 5 factorial. We wrote it all out so you can see what it is. 1 factorial is 1. And our 10 factorials cancel out. We have 11 over 1, which is 11. The next one we have 6 combining 6. It's going to be 6 factorial over 6 factorial. You do 6 minus 6 is 0 factorial. Remember, here the 6 factorials will cancel out. Remember that 0 factorial is defined to be 1, so this is 1 over 1, which is 1. So remember that Dr. LB is always in. Please come back for more math help.